like Fat Burger and Shakey's Pizza. All SoCal locations are open for pickup and delivery. For extra info, hit up fatburger.com or shakeys.com. Support local business in SoCal. To learn more, just search #LocalLove on Twitter. At Southern California Edison, safety is our #1 priority. And now, with so many of you at home working and caring for loved ones, we are especially aware of the vital role we play in providing reliable electricity. That's why we're proceeding with only the most critical outage-related work to protect public safety and reduce the risk of wildfires. If you experience an outage, we will do our best to minimize the impact. Thank you for your partnership during this challenging time. Learn more at SCE.com.
Attention all business owners who rent or lease space, including storage space. Stop wasting your money paying someone else for your space. You can now save a ton of money and own your own building with the incredible sale prices from General Steel. That's right, start saving money every month on renting space from others. Just call 888-41-STEEL to see how General Steel can help you save money. Our 50-year structural warranty buildings are custom designed for your needs and save you a ton of money. Call 888-41-STEEL.
Take it from a successful entrepreneur. If you need to expand or start a new business, you need General Steel.
Great team and the competitive pricing is the reason I went with General Steel.
Call 888-41-STEEL now, and you can get any of our popular quick construction structures, including a 40 by 60 foot building or a 50 by 100 clear span building, fast and easy. Call 888-41-STEEL. That's 888-417-8335. 888-41-STEEL.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This Southern California's only 24-hour local news and traffic station, KNX 1070 News Radio. Good afternoon, I'm Bob Brill. Our top local story at 3:30. In-depth team coverage of the coronavirus pandemic. California Governor Gavin Newsom vowing to ramp up coronavirus testing and shorten the time to get the results.
Newsom said during a video briefing that recently there's been a backlog of nearly 60,000 coronavirus tests waiting to be analyzed across the state. Many people waiting up to 12 days to get the results.
I own that, and I have a responsibility as your governor to do better and to do more testing in the state of California.
Now he's created a task force. He says we can expect testing capability and turnaround time to significantly increase.
We specifically have a new partnership with UC Davis and UC San Diego to create a minimum of 5 to 7 hubs where we have high throughput, where we will work with different vendors, not be prescriptive on the exact type of testing, but work with these hubs to significantly increase our testing capacity.
Newsom says California has tested just under 120,000 people. He says there will soon be 75 locations where a new test will be implemented with results in just 5 minutes. Emily Valdez, KNX 1070 News Radio.
711 new coronavirus cases have been confirmed in LA County, including 28 new deaths. Those grim figures bring the total number of cases in the county to more than 5,200, including more than 40 members of the LAPD. And the death count now stands at more than 117, with health officials expecting those numbers to keep soaring. At San Diego County, there are now more than 1,100 confirmed cases, including 17 deaths, and the Orange County case count has jumped to 786, death toll rising to 14. 5 new deaths in San Bernardino County bring the number there to 13 as well, out of a total of more than 350 confirmed cases. And Riverside County now has a total of almost 640 cases with 15 deaths, including a second sheriff's deputy who died just a day after a fellow member of the department was also killed by the virus. More badly needed bathroom and shower facilities are coming for LA's homeless population in an effort to slow the spread of the virus.
They're coming through a partnership with the YMCA,
where 9 facilities will be available for folks who need to take showers, folks who need to use a bathroom, folks who are living on our streets but need to have the same sanitation requirements that those of us that are housed do.
Mayor Garcetti says the partnership will also provide work for people who've been laid off or had their hours cut. The locations are due to be announced next week, and more YMCA facilities may be added to the list. Garcetti says the city is putting out more portable restrooms on Skid Row and other areas.
There are 11 leases and 780 rooms. These are hotel and motel rooms available for unhoused Angelenos. And these are folks who need to be isolated, but they are not yet positive. That means that these are the most vulnerable or the most senior homeless Angelenos that we have that we can get safely in. And I'm hoping that we can fill those 780 rooms as quickly as possible with the county and with our Homeless Services Authority.
He says efforts are underway to secure thousands more motel and hotel rooms for people who need to isolate or quarantine but have nowhere to do so. The city has also opened 3 more emergency shelters and rec centers. Garcetti says a plan announced last month to provide 6,000 shelter beds at rec centers around the city has been pared down to about 2,000 beds due to the need for social distancing. At last check, 7 homeless people in LA County had tested positive for COVID-19. Public health officials earlier in the week put the number at 9, but later said further investigation determined 2 of those people weren't actually homeless. Claudia Pescutak, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Long Beach will be using something different as a hospital. It's an arena. The so-called field hospital will be created inside the Long Beach Arena. The city is also setting up mobile triage units outside existing emergency rooms as the pandemic floods current medical facilities with more patients than they can handle. The Arena Hospital will hold 100 beds and will be ready to be activated if needed to remove pressure from area hospitals. The city is also opening a rapid assessment clinic at Long Beach City College's Pacific Coast campus. It'll be open 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. 7 days a week, starting on Monday. Rob Archer, KNX 1070 News Radio. As many as 50 homeless veterans who show no symptoms of coronavirus infection will be eligible for a spot in the shelter that's opening today on the VA campus in Bethlehem. It was designed to house people. Officials cut the staff in half, and the beds would have enough space to stay 6 feet apart. LA City Councilman Mike Bonnet says another 238 beds in different buildings on the VA campus are for veterans in quarantine. There's also space for homeless vets to camp in tents, and a VA parking lot has been set aside for vets who live near or in their vehicle. White House briefing today, the latest from Dr. Anthony Fauci. We'll have that story for you coming up in about 3 minutes. It's 3:35. Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 5. Here is Tim Greenwood.
Good afternoon. 210 westbound at Azusa. In Azusa, we have a car cleared from the fast lane. We'll take that as good news. 710 southbound, connector to the 60 eastbound, right there at East LA interchange. It looks like, or at least East LA, we do have a new hazard. It has not been specified. Could be a car, could be whatever fell out of one. Also, 60 east at the Atlantic Boulevard off-ramp, maybe the same report, a silver sedan sitting on the right shoulder of that off-ramp. Also working right now, 60 west at the 710. The other way around, somebody has lost debris in lanes. It's a tough intersection right now. 101 southbound at Lankershim. They're in Studio City. More furniture. 2, 3, 4, 3 right lanes are now taken away with furniture. Highway Patrol is on the scene. They're running a break. So if you're on the 101 eastbound at Lankershim, you have just crossed the 170. Expect to be on the brakes hard and fast, because they have stopped all lanes to pick up furniture from an enthusiastic private mover. 5 northbound at Sunland, again, furniture in lanes. 5 northbound at Sunland Avenue. And 57 southbound at Diamond Bar Boulevard. A car and a grill and boxes. Most of the back porch, it seems, has fallen into the 2 rightmost lanes. Next, traffic report, 345. I'm Tim Greenwood. With more traffic reports more often, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Right now, we're looking partly to mostly cloudy, and tomorrow we're going to get a start of a chance of rain. About 50% chance of rain is going to last for a few days. Light winds, about 15 miles per hour. Highs today and tomorrow, today anyway, the 60s and the low 70s. Now, tomorrow we're going to be a little cooler. We're going to be into the 60s, a little colder than normal. Overnight lows in between will be in the 50s. Currently in Chino, we're looking at 70 degrees. If you are in Arleta, it's 66, and Anaheim Hills now at 68, Riverside at 66 to 337. 5-day forecast coming up at 3:45.
Child Fund works in 25 countries to ensure that millions of children like Maddie grow up healthy, educated, self self-sufficient, and safe. Our programs help children fulfill their potential, no matter where they were born. Through Child Fund, children like Medi know their value, raise their voices, build a future. The right thing to do for Medi? Help her realize all her possibilities. Child Fund International. Learn more at childfund.org.
3:38 at KNX 1070 News Radio. Now, the latest from the briefing at the White House today.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'd like to just take a couple of moments to talk a little bit about the public health aspects
and how it relates to what the President just said about the need for us to begin to at least think about returning to some degree of normality.
And that has to do with what's going to be happening as we end this week and we go into next week. You will be seeing, and we should not be surprised because the kinetics of how this virus works, is that we're going to be seeing that there are going to be deaths that are going to continue to go up. But as I mentioned to this group and to the general public multiple times, there really is a cascading of events where you have new cases, hospitalizations, intensive care, and deaths.
So at the same time that we may be seeing an increase in deaths, we want to focus on the effect of mitigation is really the number of new cases.
And that's what we're going to be thinking about and looking about. So we're going to pay close attention to that, and hopefully the kinds of mitigations that we're talking about are going to have the impact to allow us to begin to think about maybe changing a bit. So the question arises, is the mitigation working? So let's look historically and then just look at the reality of it. Clearly in the countries, China included,
that have implemented very strict kinds of programs of mitigation. Clearly it works in our own country. We've seen indication of that in Washington. Remember, Washington State was the first to get hit, but they put in a really good program of mitigation. And if you look at the charts that Dr. Berg showed the other day, they're still
down there doing well. And the reason is, again, what I said before, but I think it's worth reiterating,
that we have two opposing forces here. The virus, which wants to do what the virus wants to do. Viruses transmit from people to people. When people are separated from each other,
virus does not transmit. It doesn't go anywhere. And that's the reason why something as simple as the physical separation, because if you look at the Vice President's charts that he shows all the time here from this podium, every aspect of that ending the COVID outbreak in 30 days has some aspect of it, a physical separation, whether that's avoiding crowds, whether that's staying 6 feet away from people, whether that's doing teleworking, all of it does that.
Radio.com LA presents Local Love, where we highlight local restaurants and shops in SoCal that are open right now and ready for business, like Sushi Planet Woodland Hills, open for takeout and delivery. To put in your order, just go to mysushiplanet.com, and Ronan, located at 7315 Melrose, offering curbside pickup and delivery. Just go to ronanla.com to put your order in. Support local business in SoCal. To learn more, just search hashtag #LocalLove on Twitter.
Here's today's Prime Choice Funding Mortgage Update. As of March 30th, 2020, rates are 2.875% rate and APR for a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. Hey, everybody, it's Randy Cardoon. These rates are low, but there's no guaranteeing that this will last. Call Prime Choice Funding now to find out if you can save on your monthly mortgage payment.
Unprecedented times require unprecedented coverage. Southern California's only 24-hour news and traffic station. KNX, KRTH FM HD2, Los Angeles. KNX 1070 News Radio. Depend on us.
Well, sorry, Governor promises fast virus testing in the state, and more than 5,200 people in LA County have tested positive for the disease. Oh, sorry, plus traffic every 10 minutes. On the 5, coming up in 5 minutes after CBS News covers the world at 4 o'clock on KNX 1070 News Radio.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by the Capital One Quicksilver Card.
Sam Litzinger, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy says this is simply heartbreaking.
Let me put this in a proper yet very sobering context. We have now lost nearly 100 more of our fellow New Jerseyans to COVID-19 than we did on the September 11th attacks.
How bad is this pandemic in New York City? CBS News correspondent Gary Nunn says very bad.
Bodies are piling up so fast in New York City that officials are now looking elsewhere in the state for temporary interment locations. Crematories are extending their hours. On Long Island, Governor Andrew Cuomo says the number of cases is like a fire spreading after only 1 month since the first person tested positive. And says Cuomo, it feels like an entire lifetime.
California Governor Gavin Newsom says the situation in his state is dire.
We are preparing for a scenario where we need 50,000 beds. We need hundreds of millions of line items of PPE. We are working day and night to find new ventilators.
At the daily coronavirus briefing, President Trump says he's sending more military personnel to the hardest hit areas. He also says the United States can't remain shut down for months and months. The virus hit Coral Princess cruise ship with 2 dead and at least a dozen infected passengers on board was docked in Miami after being turned away from several Latin American ports in a month-long odyssey. The Bermuda registered ship with more than 1,000 passengers and a crew of 878 arrived after a failed attempt to dock in the port of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Some members of Congress aren't happy that President Trump has fired the Inspector General of the intelligence community, sidelining an independent watchdog who played a key role in his impeachment. He says he had every right to do it.
I thought he did a terrible job. Absolutely terrible. He took a whistleblower report, which turned out to be a fake report. It was fake. It was totally wrong. It was about my conversation with the president of Ukraine. He took a fake report and he brought it to Congress.
Congressional critics say the firing will have a chilling effect and is unconscionable during a pandemic.
This is Southern California's only 24-hour local news and traffic station, KNXN 70 News Radio. Good afternoon, I'm Bob Riddle. Our top local stories at 4:05. Governor pledges to approve coronavirus testing of the state. We'll have the latest virus numbers as part of our in-depth team coverage. Those stories in 90 seconds, but first. Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on 5. At 4:05, here is Tim Greenwood.
You have a maroon car? You have something missing? There's a maroon bumper on the 22 westbound at Hastur Street in Garden Grove. It's kind of spread across the carpool and the 2 lanes right next to it. So if your car is sounding a little different or handles a little different, you might want to pull over and check if that was you who lost that bumper in Garden Grove. Also working right now, 405 southbound at University. We have a new collision. This is 2 cars. Nobody else stopped, so we're going to stop it calling it a 2-car crash. 405 southbound at University. This is going to be in the city of Irvine, and they are in lanes. So it's a clear day with sunshine and dry roads. Keep your eyes out for folks who suddenly stop in front of you. Kind of like this one, 91 westbound at Knott Avenue. Somebody has stopped in lanes to pick up some of the bags of debris they may have dropped. So we have a car stopped, someone in lanes, and debris in lanes, just to test your reflexes.
Today in Los Angeles County, it was announced that 342 more confirmed cases of coronavirus brought the total of cases to 2,474, a 16% increase over yesterday. In the city of Los Angeles, there were 151 new cases, bringing the total to 1,171, also a 15% increase. And additionally, there were 7 more falling. Deaths added, bringing the total to 44, a 19% increase over yesterday. The number of our dead have now doubled over the past 4 days. To each family, to each Angelino, to each friend, each mother, each daughter, father, son, sibling who's lost someone tonight, we stand with you. We cry alongside you, and our hearts break with you as well. We continue in Los Angeles to increase our testing capacity, and as of this afternoon, we have administered through the City of Los Angeles' testing program by our fire and personnel departments. We've completed 8,373 tests. By the end of this week, we'll bring that pace to 13,000 tests a week and nearly 20,000 tests done by the end of this work week, or one for every 200 LA City residents. And today we opened a 5th testing location, and our combined locations filled nearly all 2,300 slots available. Starting tomorrow, we have 2,500 slots. So please, if you need a test, go to coronavirus.lacity.org to see if you're eligible.
Let me give people an update on where we are in the state of California. In particular, in the last 4 days, we have seen a doubling of the number of hospitalizations related to COVID-19. In the last 4 days, double the population that's been hospitalized. We've also seen a tripling of the number of ICU patients in our system in the last 4 days. These have long been projected based upon our modeling. Consequence, we have for weeks now been organizing ourselves around a surge that will require roughly 2/3 increase in capacity within our hospital system. That requires 3 fundamental things. It requires finding new places to put people. Number 2, requires having adequate supplies, from PPEs to the ventilators. And importantly, number 3, requires people. And today we are announcing a new effort, healthcore.ca.gov, that will provide a platform to match individuals that may have retired in the last 5 years, may be in the process of getting licensed or relicensed, people that are in nursing schools or medical schools that are nearing the completion of those efforts, to incorporate and encourage them to get on this platform to provide for the kind of human capital surge that we'll need to meet the moment over the course of the next number of weeks as these numbers continue to rise. We couldn't be more pleased by the incredible professionalism of our nurses and doctors, our professional representatives that came together across many differences and organized around a framework of providing more flexibility, more surge capacity within the system. By providing scope of practice reforms, by allowing us to utilize our existing resources in a more resourceful way. I want to thank all of the representatives for putting aside, again, those differences and meeting this moment head on to provide the flexibility that is required to meet this moment. We have an executive order that went out that will provide flexibility through June 30th. This is temporary flexibility on staffing ratios, on scope of practice for nurse practitioners, EMTs, and others. We are going out now to deeply find the kind of talent, though, that is necessary beyond the scope of practice changes and beyond the regulatory changes to make sure that we have the adequate workforce. Looking for mental health experts, looking for more EMTs, more pharmacists, looking for more phlebotomists, looking for more experts in respiratory care and the like, technicians, administrators, doctors, nurses. We are calling on you to step up and step in and meet this moment. We have more licensed healthcare professionals in the state of California than any state in the nation, some 766,000 professionals in the state of California. But we estimate we have the capacity to increase our ranks by an additional 37,000 plus professionals that are in that time of life where they have just recently retired, or they're in the process of getting their license and their degrees. And so we are very, very hopeful with this effort that we will see a surge of individuals to be paid and compensated to participate in the workforce and distributed throughout our care delivery system all around the state of California.
Governments and nations focus on the coronavirus. There's a growing threat that cartels, criminals, terrorists, and other malign actors will try to exploit the situation for their own gain, and we must not let that happen. We will never let that happen. Today, the United States is launching enhanced counter-narcotics operations in the Western Hemisphere to protect the American people from the deadly scourge of illegal narcotics. We must not let the drug cartels exploit the pandemic to threaten American lives. In cooperation with the 22 partner nations, U.S. Southern Command will increase surveillance, disruption, and seizures of drug shipments and provide additional support for eradication efforts, which are going on right now at a record pace. We're deploying additional Navy destroyers, combat ships, aircraft and helicopters, Coast Guard cutters, and Air Force surveillance aircraft, doubling our capabilities in the region.
My Safer at Home emergency order requires Los Angeles residents to stay in their homes. It limits all outdoor activities to minimal exercise and what is absolutely necessary, and closes non-essential businesses that require workers to be present in person. Since I announced that order nearly 2 weeks ago, we've taken additional steps to strengthen physical distancing as much and to cut gatherings back as well. Most Angelenos have heeded this call, but some have not, and that's a problem. Folks were gathering at the beach, so together with the county and the state, we shut the beaches down. Too many people were too close on courts and fields, at recreation, at park facilities, as well as those on our trails, so we closed those too. This past weekend, some of our farmers markets became too crowded, as much as we love them. We just cannot take any chances with this virus. So tonight I'm announcing the temporary suspension of all farmers markets in the city of Los Angeles. Now, this is a little different than the other ones because food is essential, and I don't want the closing of farmers markets to have even bigger crowds at our grocery stores. I'm now going to require that all farmers markets submit plans immediately to our city's Bureau of Street Services that enforce physical distancing and ensure safe operations. Most likely it will be one entrance, one exit. People safely lined up with safe distance to get in. And of course, as we've done, the stopping of other things that are not essential, like crafts or prepared foods. We want people to be able to eat well, we want people to get access to food, but we can't risk the spread of this disease. So all farmers markets are suspended until they come to the city, show us that plan, and we will monitor that to ensure, just as we're doing at grocery stores and other places, that people are not spreading this disease. We know that our food supply is vital, and if our farmers markets submit their safe operations plan starting tonight, our Bureau of Street Services will look at them immediately, and they will be able to continue operating later in this week. But we need to suspend this right away until we can get this under control. And I would ask not only the farmers markets to do their part, but all of us. If there are too many people, simply wait before you go in. April 1st is fast approaching, and many Angelenos are rightfully concerned about paying the rent. Maybe you've had your hours cut, or you've been laid off, or you've tested positive for COVID-19 and you're unable to work. Well, I want you to know that the city is here to help you. I am here to help you. That's why today, I signed the ordinance passed by the Los Angeles City Council on Friday, providing an emergency eviction moratorium for both residential and commercial tenants. If you cannot pay the rent as a result of this emergency, you cannot be evicted. Since this legislation passed by the council is nearly identical to the language in my earlier emergency order, I'll be withdrawing that earlier order, so there's no confusion, and all other emergency orders will remain in effect. The money owed by tenants won't magically disappear. Tenants still need to pay the rent if they can. And after this emergency ends, residential tenants now, thanks to the council action, will have 12 months to pay it back. Commercial tenants will have 3 to pay back the rent. And today I went further, executing an additional emergency order, suspending any new rental increases of residential units that fall under the rent stabilization ordinance, which is the great percentage of our units, RSO units they're called. Until today, rents in these units could be increased by up to 4% annually. But as of now, those increases are put on hold by this order until after this emergency period is over. And we're working with council members and others to close any loopholes so that tenants don't, the day after this crisis, suddenly find themselves evicted and out on the street. And I want to thank Mike Bonin and Mitchell Farrell and, of course, our council president, Mary Martinez, and the leadership of the city council to make sure that we find a solution while we also appeal to our state leaders to help us as well. Across Los Angeles, we have 624,000 rent-stabilized units in 118,000 different buildings. And tenants in these RSO units will not be subject to any rent increase. Rent will stay the same. This is a common sense action on top of the eviction moratorium that will help folks stay in their homes and make ends meet.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
I am officially declaring a national emergency.
We direct a statewide order for people to stay at home.